Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. Your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, episode 77. We are back with you once again. This time, we're back on another Wednesday evening. The fixtures are coming thick and fast, but it's this time on the back of a relatively disappointing, very disappointing, unbelievably disappointing, however you want to phrase it, loss against those lot down the road in Wigan Athletic. Don't even know where to start with this one, so it only feels right to just kick off with our post-match reactions, really.
Well, I want to start by saying good evening to everyone in the chat straight away. It's quite busy. Jack, Suchi, Josh, Chris, Jim, evening to you all. Yeah, I thought that was the right thing to do because obviously considering yesterday's shambolic performance, it only seems right to say thank you to the people that are taking their evening up to have a little bit of a whinge with us. Maybe worth, before we get into our post-match reactions, Ben, referring to Sushi's comment. I don't know how much of this pod I can take. Brilliant. What a start. Nothing against you guys. I just don't have this patience for any more Wanderers stuff. Ben, over to you, boss.
It's a good point, isn't it? It's yeah. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I didn't really want to do it tonight either. Never mind sit and listen to it. So fair play to all of you that have come in and choosing to spend your Wednesday evening with us. We massively appreciate it. We won't keep you all for too long. We'll try and keep it short and sweet. There's not much to elaborate on. So, but yeah, thank you all very much for choosing to spend your Wednesday with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, Ben. You're
unlucky, Ben.
Podcast.
Oh God!
You can fire us off. What did you make of the game last night, mate? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was great, wasn't it? No, it was. I can't remember walking away from a game as disappointed as that for a long time. To be honest, I know we've been battered over the last few years, whatever, but just thought we'd get more of a reaction from Saturday. And yeah, I mean, I watched back the first half before because I was literally second row. I could hardly see a thing first half. So I watched back the first half before, and it's what everyone's been saying. We dominated the ball. We had a couple of half chances, but not really do much with it. And it got to half time, and I was thinking, look, this is better than I thought it would have been because it's usually there in our faces straight away and 3-0 up at half time. So I thought half time, regroup, get a bit more energy into it, and we'd better second half. But it just kind of dragged into nothing. And then they had a 3-minute period where they had 3 good chances, better chances than we had needed all game, and that was it. And again, after their goal, I thought it'd rally us a bit and get us a bit more up for it. But we just, even when the 4 minutes went up, I just kind of never. It's not been many times over the last few years where it's got to the last few minutes and we need a goal, and I thought, yeah, we're just not going to score here. But yeah, I just couldn't. Yeah, it was bad.
Yes, it was indeed. Chris's point actually sums it up really quite well. He says there seems to be a confusion between controlling a game and possession, which is a really, really good point. You know, in terms of the possession, we absolutely dominated the game, but did we control it? I think we controlled the flow of the game, but it's difficult to say you controlled the game when both teams were very much still in it right up until, you know, even the final whistle. It could have gone either way. So I think, I'm in the same boat as for that one.
In terms of controlling, they were sat in happy to sit and defend us all game. So they were kind of in control because we didn't really. There was a couple of times in the first half where they were a bit higher and we played a few balls in behind. There was one to Magoma where he probably should have done better. There was one to Dakers Cogley, one to Collins. They kind of just broke down. But apart from that, yeah, they were in control, especially second half, because they just sat back and were happy to let us play it around. They weren't too fussed about picking the ball off us. And then when they did, they broke forward and made a couple of chances. I mean, that's the tweet last night, and it was just disappointing because, especially that first half, I can't remember seeing much worse teams against us this season. In terms of they weren't even bothered about winning yesterday.
No,
They literally had 2-3 minutes in the game where they went forward, and that was it.
Yeah.
So,
It was almost remarkably similar to when we went to Cheltenham, apart from the fact that we found the back of the net. The way that sort of Wigan was set up and the way that we were playing was so similar to that at Cheltenham. There was just no end product there. Colin, what did you make of the game?
Well, without stating the obvious, I think there's a few people in the chat who've mentioned a particular 4-letter word or name in Dion. We when he got injured, should I say? Regardless of how little he was contributing from a goal perspective, I dreaded the fact that we were going to be missing him for a short period of time because he's just so critical to us in so many ways. Not only from a goal scoring perspective, as we know, he starts us going basically. With obviously Geth, when he came on the podcast, he reiterated that so much and how important Dion is, and I think we're missing him hugely. And I think if we'd have had him yesterday, a firing Dion would have put us 1-0 up, no doubt, in that first half. But also, and again, without sounding obvious, we're missing Nathan Baxter's communication and goalkeeping contributions, not necessarily just from a shot stopping perspective, but his organisation of the back three or the back five is blatantly, obviously missing. It's no coincidence that Gethin Jones and Declan Cogley in the last 2 games have been very, very, very below their standards. You know, I'm very surprised, to be honest with you, that both of them started last night because they were so poor against Blackpool. I kind of figured that, there might have been a bit of a rest or kind of a bit of a jig about, maybe tactically. Maybe I kind of thought Geth maybe play right wing back and we could have played Forrester right side of centre half. I know it's easy. Everybody's got a degree in hindsight, haven't they? And it's easy to say, obviously, afterwards, but it was quite disappointing that they both started on that right side because if you look back and ever think about the game, there's so many instances where the output from the right hand side was very minimal. Geth wasn't making his overlapping runs. Declan Cogley looks sapped confidence, and everything had to come down the left, which was putting an immense amount of pressure on the young left back, and he was dead on his feet on the end, weren't he, at the end of it all? So it was shocking last night, and I'm really concerned for our season now, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody has bad runs, don't they? And it's how you come out from it. And we've still got plenty of time left, but that could be bad. That last night.
Yeah, I'm an eternal optimist, but I'm almost there with the concern for our season. But we've been through bad runs under Ever before, and longer bad runs, and he's turned it around. So I'm still
absolutely.
I'm still holding out some hope that we can.
Yeah,
it's been floated around that we need probably eight wins out of the last 12 in it for the top 2. I mean, obviously, all depends what.
It's all about the results, though, the other teams as well, doesn't it?
And it depends who we beat. If we win at Barnsley and beat Derby, then that's 3 points they've not got anyway. But we've turned around bad form before, and I still believe we can. People saying settling for playoffs already, and I'm not having that.
No, I'm not on that. I'm not on that particular mindset either. But I would say, like you've just alluded to slightly, Ben, having to play Portsmouth at home and still to go to a pretty inconsistent Derby side who are lacking really anything from an offensive perspective is quite promising, I think. We just need to sort this little dip in form out.
Indeed, it's been a rocky ride. I think the last 2 games, and as you said, Colin, I do think that has definitely got the potential to be a real turning point for our season, both on an upward curve but equally downward curve. And the only people that will be responsible the people with the largest part to play in that will be the players and of course Everett. Chris has summed it up there. There's no more room for error or a bad run. It has to end now.
Yeah,
Certainly
absolutely.
getting that way.
I think what I do want to do, and it's probably going to piss a few people off this, to be honest. Despite the fact that we were dominant last night in terms of possession and the controlling element of the game, you have to give credit to Wigan. They've done a number on us again. And it's easy to say that we were poor. We didn't have that clinical edge. We were, in that sense. We did have a lot of the ball, which is obviously big part of our game. But if a team soaks up so much pressure like that and having to defend so much and concentrate so much from a defensive perspective, and then still have the energy and the desire to, go and get a winning goal, you need to give them a little bit of credit for that, to be honest. Sorry if I've annoyed the 40-odd people that are watching live at the moment. I do apologise, but it's just my opinion. I think it's easy to kind of get caught up in it all, and sometimes you've got to give credit to the opposition.
Absolutely. I think exactly what you said before. I think another turning point for us will be Dion coming back. As you said, he might not have been contributing much in terms of goals, but you just notice it so much when he's playing, he's pressing. It wins us set pieces, or the ball goes out of play for a throw in that's quite, well in their half. There's things like that we just miss. That intensity and that desire and that hunger up front just seems void completely without him. But fortunately, Ange isn't with us for this next section, and I really wish she was, because unfortunately it means I'm going to have to do it. But next, of course, we will have your Fanzone Man of the Match. Certainly, I feel like there are very, very, very few contenders for this one. I can think of, maybe 2 names that could go into the hat. Colin, do you want to fire us off?
Oh, God. I thought Josh was good again. Controlled the game. Did his best to try and create opportunities for us. Very little in terms of offensive output last night, both in the first half and the second. Just to add to that, though, actually, before I go any further, and again, it's football. Every team gets them, but having Carlos Mendes Gomez go off injured definitely disrupted our rhythm last night from an offensive perspective. Not to make excuses, because obviously we didn't win the game, but he's contributed, as we all know, massively recently, and he was just kind of clicking. You could see it, be it up front with Yondadi on Saturday. I thought he played okay against Blackpool, and also last night he was looking the part again. Obviously scored a couple of vital goals recently as well, and it's just damn unlucky, because I feel sorry for Collins. He's just not got that. I'm going to use the word again. He's just not got that synergy yet with us, and it's clear to see that he's not on that right wavelength. But he's definitely going to have a contribution in the future. But yeah, just to add to that, I know it's a man of the match segment, but it's necessary. But yeah, Sheehan was all right, pretty good in usual class. I'd have to say Owen Toll, to be honest with you. I thought he was pretty impressive. Again, on the left side, weren't he, of the back three? Not his kind of natural position, but always produces a 7 out of 10 performance. And yeah, he was pretty good. And that was a strike and a half, weren't it? I thought.
I tell you,
I thought that would go in. Yeah, I did think that would go. What was it, about 35 yard out? Something like that.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
strike
that
from
was-
centre half. That.
Yeah.
It was one hell of a
But
hit.
yeah, I thought he played pretty well in general. Really, to be fair, he was probably one of the only ones that could have his head held high.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments that have flown in, firing for Toll. So we've had Leanne, Leslie, I think that's all. And Radic Selecti, and he said it's just for that strike. Should have scored with the header though.
He
which is a good
should have
point.
hit the target. Yeah, you're probably right, Radix, there with that. Actually, he probably should have hit the target. Jack, with the Achilles, Jack Walker's put that Mendes gone with out for 12 months. I mean, unless it's been confirmed differently, but generally, I think the general around 6 months when you do your Achilles tendon. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I did a bit of a scan about last night and read a few articles, and generally it's around 6 months. But yeah, that might be wrong, to be fair.
You just can't write it, can you? Just as he was finding his feet, it's another blockade in his progression here at Wanderers. Ben, who gets your man of the match vote though?
Yeah, tough one. I've not really even thought about it before tonight. But Sheehan, yeah, it was just normal Sheehan, really. Yeah, there was a couple of passes that didn't come off that would usually come off, but that was kind of just the night, wasn't it? Toll, yeah. But I just have this gripe with Toll when he plays on the left that basically whenever we're at our best, it's when we have the wing back, the outside centre half, and the midfielder linking up in triangles, making overloads on the wide and out wide.
Yeah.
And
he struggles for that, doesn't
I
he?
love Toll. He's just not that type of player.
Yeah.
So Better was continuously just on his own yesterday. Obviously, I mean, Jones is up and down with it. Like sometimes he's brilliant, he's perfect for it. Sometimes he's just not. Yesterday, he wasn't at it. But I think Better was probably our best attacking outlet.
Yeah,
Because
it
he
was.
got
Yeah.
the ball more than anyone, probably.
Well, that's what I alluded to before, Ben, when I said about the imbalance of the fullbacks and this thing lack of confidence with on our right side last night. It was heavily reliant upon him, weren't it?
Yeah, it was. We seemed to play a lot down the right, and then the space was there on the left to give to Better, and it was kind of just give it to Better and hope he does something because he was on his own most of the time.
It felt like that.
And
yeah.
He put a couple of good crosses in. He crossed the one in for Toll's header. He had another one from a corner. He had the one in the last minute for that header. I think it was Toll again. And he obviously hit the post, didn't he, from that one that he hit near post where Tickle put it onto the post. Yeah, I'd probably just go out Better just to be different, to be honest. But yeah, just because he looked the most likely to make something happen. But I mean, yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, I think mine is Sheehan. Just because for him to be able to pull out that consistent performance that we know from him, despite feeling like everything was not going in our favour, and for everyone else around him to seemingly drop their standards, for him to maintain, I think was a good show of character and talent, to be honest. So for me, Sheehan gets it. And I think on the whole, the chat is leaning towards Sheehan. Jim has gone for Sheehan. BWFC 714 has also gone with him. David has gone for Sheehan, so has Kelly. As well as Laura. Jack has said, you can usually work out who's the man of the match, as Everett will have taken him off after 75 minutes. Just wanted to touch on that, because I must admit, a lot confused when Josh Sheehan made way for Cameron Jerome 3/4 of the way through the game. What did you make of it? I mean, it's really, really difficult to tell because only Everett will know where his players are at in terms of fitness levels and how close to that red zone they are.
Mentally as well.
Exactly.
How to manage
Only
that
Everett and obviously
situation.
the players will know that. So, but for me, I was a little confused, to say the least. And I don't expect a justification from it after the game because it's his job.
No.
What did you make of it, though? Colin, we'll go to you first.
Go on, Colin.
Oh, Ben. Go on, fire away, Ben. You're itching at the seams.
Go on, Ben.
I always try and step away from it and take the emotion out of it and think, why is this guy come on and why has this guy come off? The only explanation I think is Sheehan's on 9 yellow cards. He's got Was last night the last game he had to escape it, or is it one more on Saturday?
No,
I
he
think
got one more on Saturday.
Right, yeah. So, and at the
He
end of the day,
got hooked. He got hooked against Blackpool as well, Ben. Boom. Keep in mind, Sheehan.
Do you give him another 10, 15 minutes and hope he doesn't get booked, or do you take him off so you know you've got him for the rest of this? You don't have to miss him for 2 games. It's a balancing act, isn't it? So, and look, the amount of times people shout to go 3 up top. I know if Jerome's our only option, is it worth it? But he's done all right when he's come on recently, but maybe not to chase a game. It was one of them. We didn't have anything else on the bench, really. I guess he could have brought Morley on for Sheehan to keep the balance.
I think people were probably, and I can't speak for everybody, who were losing their heads. And I'm definitely with you, Ben, with regards to it's very important to try your best to remove the emotion away from the situation.
Work out the thought process behind it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I mean, not everybody has that mindset, did they? But I think that's the way I go about it myself as well.
Yeah.
But I think what people would have probably been craving would be to probably gone maybe flat back 4, possibly, or maybe even a 3, and go for it.
Who are wingers though? Because Mendes Gomez had gone off.
Yeah.
Do you put Bob Larson out wide, or
can't put Jerome out wide. I'll tell you that for free.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in terms of substitution itself, Ben, to answer your question, I think it's simple, really. I think Jon had already come on. Obviously, Collins had come on for Mendes Gomez, and Jerome was our only other attacking outlet. And that, with the fact that, like Ben just said, that Sheehan is so close to that suspension, that's probably the reason why. And not only that, he obviously felt that he's got the players who can play centrally and try and still dictate the game, the likes of Thomason and I think Dempsey went more central when Josh went off. But it wasn't ideal, but desperation and all that, I think.
Indeed. Well, we'll try and shift a little bit away from the negativity for just a couple of seconds. And what we'll do is we'll hand over to our resident statman, Callum, for his preview of our next fixture. Cambridge United, again, seems to be playing them a lot.
That is a must win, isn't it? Another one.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Certainly is. So let's get stuck in.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back, and Cambridge are back. I mean, how many times have we played these in the last month? I feel like I've recorded this video 4 times. But anyway, let's forget about what happened the other day. Yeah, I mean, that was awful. We move, and this will be a PG Statman preview because feel bad for swearing too much. Anyway. So let's hope it's not raining as much as last time you played Cambridge as well, because then we'll have to get the boats out. Yeah, poor pun, you probably don't even get it. Cambridge boat race, all that. Yeah, I had to get one in. I've not done one in a couple of weeks. Anyway, Cambridge are 16th on 38 points, which was the same as last time you played them. It's still really crap. Scored 30 goals from 36 XG, which is 1 XG more than they should have scored last time. They've not scored a goal since you played them, which is only a good sign, unless I've jinxed it, and if so, my bad. They average less than a goal a game now. It used to be a goal a game, but it's less than that, which makes them 19th in the league. Can still concede 1.2 per game. Woo. Bolton will dominate the ball. I remember saying all this last time, and I'm sure you remember it as well. 12 clean sheets, which is pretty good, to be fair. They don't intercept the ball. They properly sit off. And this is something I do need to say, actually. Bolton need to push up the pitch more. You'll see from the graph here, which is Bolton's control zone. I'm sure it took me a minute to get used to it as well. Basically, the purple is where you have loads of touches, and they don't. The green is where they have loads of touches, and you don't. And the grey is where you both have a lot. So you can see here that you have the ball deep at the centre-backs, basically, and that is it. And you even let them have the ball wide, too high up the pitch. I mean, that is awful. That is way too far. They need to push them back when you've not got the ball and when you have the ball. So if Cambridge aren't going to intercept and they're not going to press, push on. Have the ball in the middle third minimum. I mean, you should have about 10, maybe probably 8 players in the final third most of the game if you want to win like you should against Cambridge. Anyway, and you can see from Cambridge's thing here, I mean, actually looks better, which is a bit mental to me. But yeah, it does look better. You can see there's a little zone that you could exploit. And you can see that they like to come down the right wing, Bolton's left, so that battle will be interesting. But yeah, just push up the pitch. That would be my advice. Boys, get the ball, push it up higher, hold it, because they're not going to come to you and you can just keep moving forward. Danny Andrews, probably the best player. I said this last time. Expect long shots from him. He's got a long balls as well. One of the best crosses in the league. Which is interesting because he plays left back and they actually favour the right. But I mean, maybe they'll switch up this game because we know Bolton's right side has been a tad dodgy, and it was definitely dodgy against Wigan. But that is all from me. I'll stop with the bad puns and no more swearing as well. Yeah, see you in the next one.
Wonderful, as always, from our resident statman, Cal. Some interesting points raised in that heat map, I have to say. We've not seen one of them before. He's constantly improving. An interesting one, because it's something that we've all noticed. We definitely have a lot of the ball. It's just not really been in the right areas. That middle third has been a real letdown. Usually comes through Sheehan. He's the one that operates in that space. I think we need to get him a little bit higher up and the back line to sort of operate where Sheehan would normally, and really, open up some space in that final third and get on them.
Can I
What are you
just add to
expecting?
that? Sorry, Ben, just to add to that from an observation perspective. Do you think? I mean, I'd be interested to know when that map has been from, or when how he's pulled that together, and from which games he's been looking at, be it the last game last night, or maybe a combination of the last couple. But do you think the fact that is the case is due to the lack of confidence in the goalkeeper from a defensive perspective, and not having that security of Baxter behind him, who's obviously clearly more competent goalkeeper, and they can rely on him more? What are your thoughts on that? It'd be good to get people's opinions on that in the chat as well.
It's difficult to tell because I'm not sure where that heat map is from. If that's an average across the season, then it tells a story that irrespective of who's playing in net, there's a bit of an issue. It looked like that was from Wigan because you can see quite clearly there were a lot came from the side that Ogbetter was on. He was ran at quite a lot,
and he was running with it quite well as well, wasn't he?
Exactly, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see or find out whether that was a season long average or whether it was just the Wigan game. But
I do think there's a lack of there's a lack of confidence with the backup goalkeeper.
I think Rico seems to have instilled that back a little bit, though. There were a lot of instances where Coleman received the ball and was, quite open and moved himself away from the centre of his box, perhaps to one side to offer another lane for either of the centre halves. I think Rico's brought some of that back, but it's not. You wouldn't expect it to be, but it's not. It's not where Baxter was, is it?
I think generally last night we were pretty good in the build-up from defence. We didn't have any. We didn't have any worries playing out. It was when we got to the final third, wasn't it? I would actually guess last night that the dominant zones would have been further up the pitch because they basically camped on the edge of the box and we had the ball loads on the wings. We just didn't do much with it. I have just looked for the season on the Opta analyst. I'm pretty sure that's where he got it from. We basically have it split up into 6 sections, and for the first 4 sections of the pitch, we're all green, we're all dominant, and both wings as well. So I'm guessing that's from the past few games where we've not been as dominant because it is different. So that's like that. But yeah, I was a bit worried last night because we seem to have we talked about control before. I think most of this season we've had control over games up until sort of, as we mentioned before, the Wickham, Cheltenham home games where we kind of just battled through. That was neither control nor possession football, really. It was kind of, we get the goals early and hope we see it through, and we did. Whereas the last couple of weeks, especially Cambridge, the Charlton second half, the Blackpool first half a bit, even though I was a bit more end to end, and then the first half last night was pure possession control, really, until the final third, exactly. Yeah. And
that's ultimately what it boils down to, what Paddy's just said, doesn't it, really? We can talk about build-up, we can talk about apparent lack of confidence in the backup, in Coleman, the backup goalkeeper, but it's all about that final third, isn't it? And like I said right at the beginning, we're missing Dion immensely.
Yeah.
It's, since I've just actually gone and had a look at the Opta Analyst website. And for anyone who is inclined to take a look at stats, to take a look at graphs and stuff like that, there is some interesting stuff over there, so it might be worth having a look if you're that way inclined. There is some good stuff on there that tells a little bit of a story. Yeah, what are we expecting from Cambridge? It's a must-win game. We'll keep it brief. I think everyone's under the same impression. It needs to be 3 points. Ben, what are you hoping for? Not what are you expecting, what are you hoping for? What do you want to see?
I mean, I would hope for the copy of the away game, really, and just hope one doesn't fly off our centre half's foot and goes in the first 5 minutes, because the rest of the game we dominated, really, and it wasn't until sort of the last 5 minutes where they had 1.5 chance. I'd hope for that, really, again, but stick away a couple more chances. We need to win. That's the most important thing, but we could do with a resounding statement win that we've not had for a bit since sort of Carlisle, really. Obviously, I'll take a 1-0 all day long now, but yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be us 70% possession, and an early goal would make it so much easier, obviously. But yeah, obviously, I'd hope for 3 points.
Colin, what are you hoping to see from the Wanderers?
I am hoping not necessarily to see anything from the Wanderers, as in the players, but I look at us in a similar sense, I guess, to what Ian Everts reiterated the last 24 hours or so. Us, what am I expecting from Bolton Wanderers Football Club and its supporters is everybody to be as one, because I think after the last couple of results, there's no doubt in my mind that the manager is a fabulous young manager. What he's done with us in a very short period of time is great. Yes, the football isn't for everybody, but it's very, very effective football, and we've won a lot of football matches and scored a lot of goals because of it. So if you don't like it, tough titties, as they say, because it ain't going to change, and the gaffer's going absolutely nowhere. So what we need to do is we need to get behind them on Saturday to the best of our abilities and not expect them to come out all guns blazing and walk all over Cambridge, which we've all been guilty of in the past, and I'll certainly say I'm one of them people as well. But after the last 2 results, it's absolutely critical that we play our part on Saturday. We do absolutely everything to give the lads a massive boost, because it's just as important that we do that than they perform, because they'll perform if we support them. And even last night, I'm not really sure we got behind them as best as possibly could either. I think there was an element of expectation there last night because of the probably first half an hour when we were the best team, which made that goal even worse. when we conceded it. So that's what I'm
Agreed.
hoping for. Ben.
Can I just touch on the style of play? I do think people get bogged down in it so much because at the end of the day, if you're going to the match and we're scoring goals and we're winning, no one cares.
How can you not be entertained? Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we're at our best, we're the best Bolton team I've seen by a mile in my 12 years of watching. Even the League One season, where I've only seen a couple of good seasons, so it's not hard to. It's not hard to beat.
I'm going to say you two Bens aren't really the yardstick to that, are you? To be honest, but
yeah, we've not been spoiled. But like we are when we're at our best, we've seen it. We beat Exeter 7-0, we beat Sunderland 6-0, we've won 4-0 at home about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
we're amazing to watch. But when we're not at our best, we're not great. But when we weren't at our best under Parky, it was horrible. When anyone's not at their best, it's bad to watch. It's got nothing to do with the style of football, I don't think. At the end of the day, you play the style you think is the best, and he's going to win and score as many goals as you think.
And more importantly, you play the style that suits the players that you've got at your disposal as well. The lads that we've got are fine tuning in a way that they play that in that particular manner. They're not going to start going direct into the channels to a Adi Beja who just isn't that type of forward.
Yeah.
All of this segues absolutely perfectly into our next segment because I've got a couple of questions for you both. So we will head on over into Chris's Fanzone fan focus. We haven't got any questions that have come in before the episode. So if you have any topics, points of conversation that you want to bring to the table, that you want us to discuss this evening, then get them in the chat right now and we will head over into Chris's Fanzone fan focus. So the first one that I have for you is on that style of play question that we've just sort of touched on briefly right there. Now, I, after sort of seeing some of the things on Twitter today, heavily criticising the way that we play, both towards the players, towards the manager, I wanted to ask both everyone in the chat and both of you here, what do you think? I'm under the impression that the problem isn't with the style of play, as you've just explained there, Ben. Beating teams 4, 5, 6, 7-0 against Exeter clearly shows that there isn't there's no clear continuous issue with the way that we play. The lapses of judgment and the poor runs of form aren't, for me, a direct consequence of the way that we play. I think there's an issue with consistency in finding that good form, which there is. Every team in the world will have it. And that's probably quite, emphasised in the lower division. So I don't think there's an issue with the style of play. I think it's more about consistency. What do you think, Ben?
I just think the style of play is what we play. We play possession football. We want to be attacking, right? When we don't win or when we don't play well, it's because little parts of that system haven't gone right.
Yeah.
Little parts of it. It's not. If we're losing at half time, we shouldn't just go right. Let's abandon what we do and lump it up to a big striker and hope that works. Because you stick to your style of play. You just hope that you play better. Like as I said before, when we're at our best, Exeter at home was constant rotations out wide, get balls out wide, get balls into the box, get bodied into the box, and players were there and finished. Last night that wasn't happening. That's not because the style of play is rubbish or is boring. It was boring last night because it wasn't working. But I get people saying, how can you not critique the style of play? But last night or throughout the season, teams have periods where they struggle. I mean, 80% of teams don't win as many games as the top 6 do, obviously. So there's going to be periods of the season where they go, God, the way we play is rubbish because you're not winning. At the end of the day, it's to win. I feel like I keep repeating myself, but we could be playing a different style of play and we'd still lose as many games this season. And exactly. When we're not playing well, we are playing too slow. But Most of the time we don't. It's not Everett isn't saying, let's go and pass the ball. We don't care about creating the chances. We don't care about scoring. He's not going out saying, let's get our centre backs to pass the ball as many times as we can. That's just a product of our style of play. And when it's not going well, it is slow. It is bad. But that happens with all styles of play. You have periods where it doesn't go well and it looks rubbish.
I think it's one of them things as well. I think because we've picked up 2 very, very, very poor results against our rival, if you want to call it, our biggest rivals, in both of them 2 sides. That's why it's highlighted more and discussed more and critiqued more, because people are just pissed off. Basically, I keep seeing everybody talking about last night, but we've lost 2 games, and we've lost games this season, and there's never been people complaining about the style of play previously. I think a lot of it is that emotion thing, and the fact that it is against them lot that we've lost again.
It's an interesting point, this, because there's a lot of comments that have come in saying it's boring, it's slow.
Get them up, Ben. Let's people.
It is boring when we're bad, but when we're not bad, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That was exactly my point. You look at the league table. You look at the league table, and we've scored 60 goals, which is second only to Peterborough, who are 1 ahead of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that really boring? Take a look at the season so far. Is beating Carlisle 4-1. Was that a boring game? Leyton Orient winning at home to them 3-2, although the second half was a little bit, in question. Was that a boring game? Was beating Exeter 7-0, was that a boring game? Wickham 4-2, was that a boring game?
People wouldn't have been saying it was boring when we were winning 4-0 at Wembley, would they either?
Exactly.
No, 3-0 against Scotland.
I don't want to sound like a happy clap or whatever and say, look, it's all right, we'll get back to winning 3-0 every week. But every style of play is boring when it's bad.
Yeah.
That's just the point of it. We're not playing well at the minute. There's no getting away from that. We're not good enough at the minute. But I think we will be better. And when we are better, the style of play is better than any style of play, in my opinion, anyway.
It's never even discussed, is it? Then, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
What are people saying? What are people saying, Ben, in the chat? Let's get people's comments up. Let's have a little look about what people are saying, because I think people deserve to have their voice and opinions put on the screen. To be honest with you, mate.
There is. Let's find some. James said you can find consistent with League One players if you just hoof it. Absolutely anyone can do that. It doesn't make it effective though.
You can, but then you look back to, we didn't win every game under Parkinson, did we? Obviously we went up, but we lost so many. We lost a lot of games that season, more than we probably will this season. We finished the season on 86 points. I think we'll end up with more than that this season. You can say it's consistent, but you don't win every week with it. Look at Steve Evans at Stevenage has done an unbelievable job. And when you check the results and they've won 1-0, 2-0 again, you think, bloody hell, wow, he's done amazing. But they've lost games. Obviously they have. And when they've lost, it's horrible to watch. So is every style of play. There's no perfect style of play that you play, score 5 goals a game and win every game, because that's not how football works.
Unless you say.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But even then they lost away to Villa this season and had 2 shots. I bet that was horrible to watch. And the best team in the world by a mile.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
It's an interesting one.
Any other comments, Ben?
Yes, we've had another one. Neil has said he's just more concerned with the defending. A has said we should be beating those teams. I'd be worried if we didn't, which we aren't right at the minute. That's why the questions need to be asked. Mark has said Everett's style of play is great for us, but when we've been sussed out in a match, it'd be nice to not persist with it when it's not working, like persisting with Jerome when it's not working. Which leads me on to our second point. I really curious as to some of the signings that we made in recent times. If you look at Collins as the first example, Mendes Gomez as another,
yep.
possibly even Randall Williams. Do you think Ever is preparing his
Yep.
side to play that other way.
Yep.
Obviously, if you look at the last couple of seasons, we've been completely devoid of any options that can play with a back five and a four. Do you
Yep.
think Ever is readying his players to get that second
Yep.
system up and running?
100%. He's gonna have to, because we can't go into the Championship playing the way we play, because we'll get picked apart. We need not necessarily a plan B, but like we said before, the plan A just needs to be a little bit better and evolve a little bit. So absolutely, definitely, yeah, he's definitely planning on that. You can see it with the signings, like you just alluded to, Ben.
Yeah, I agree. Collins is, I know he's not been good for us, but he last year he was.
He only played 4 games, wasn't he? Like, you can't really,
exactly,
you can't really judge a player based off 4 substitute appearances, can you, or whatever it's been?
Yeah, but he was last year the best winger in the league. Like, I know some obviously we've signed wingers in the past, like Sadlier and whatever, and that haven't fitted into the style of play because we don't play with wingers. But I don't think we'd spend the most money we've spent in 10 years on a guy that plays on the wing primarily and not look to be moving to that in the future. I just think, I think we're smarter than that.
Yeah, just to add, Jack, we're not generally discussing him as a winger. We're discussing him as a forward and evolving him into to suit us and give us a different dimension.
Someone who can operate as a front man when we play in the back five. He dropped into the midfield last night as well, but also someone that, should we need to, can play out wide if we need to switch up to a 4. Which I think is probably the likely outcome. You look at some of the players that have come in. It seems to be, I may be way off the mark, but it seems to be that's what they're preparing for. And as Jack said, it's a big gamble, and it is a big gamble, but that's what football's about. It's a tough old business. You have to gamble if you want to be successful.
It's not a gamble when you're backed by multi-billionaires, though, is it? Drop in the ocean, then, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I should just go and sign Mbappe. I heard he's looking at leaving Paris Saint-Germain. So maybe we should go and have a sniff around.
Easy.
We've had another question come in that we'll use as one of the final ones for this evening. I have a question not related to the style of play. This is from Seventh Sun Vision. A lot of fans say if we aren't promoted this season, we will lose key players. What players do you think we'll lose? And a couple of other comments have come in about what players we think are championship quality. So, just a quick fire list of the players in the current squad. If we
Baxter. We'll lose Baxter if we don't go up.
Question, yeah.
Think.
Sorry. Sorry, Ben. Go on, carry on.
Who do you think could play in the Championship?
Same answer.
Just Baxter? Just one?
No. Well, I mean, try and take the emotion out of it, like me and Ben have said tonight already, and look at the bigger picture. There's a couple of players that I think that are good enough for the Championship. I'd say a fully fit George Johnson has the capabilities to play at that level. I'd say George Thomas, and the way he's evolving, he'll certainly play at the Championship as a minimum in his career. Sheehan, obviously, the keeper, absolutely, definitely, and twice on Sunday. And I'd say Santos in the right system, in the right team, and possibly Dion, maybe. So there's a handful there, and there's maybe one or two I've forgotten about, but we'll lose Baxter definitely if we didn't get promoted, because it'd be an absolute no-brainer for a Championship team to go and sign him.
Then, out of the current squad, then who do you think could play at the Championship? We're not talking about top end of the Championship. Who do you think is capable of putting in 6, 7 out of 10 performance in the Championship?
I mean, not to be a cop out, but I think that's just very hard to answer, because as a general rule, I don't think there is much difference between sort of bottom end Championship and top end of League 2 in terms of pure player quality.
League One.
I'd even stretch it down, because coaches make so much of a difference, and a player in the right position, in the right system, can go from an all right League One player to a top Championship player. You've seen it with Ipswich this season. Look, obviously they had a good squad for the League One last season, but the levels McKenna's took them to. Not none of them.
That's a really, really good point.
You wouldn't say any of them players were top Championship players, and they're third now, aren't they? So it's one of them. I mean, I would, to give you names, I would go similar to you: Baxter, Santos, Johnston. As long as his recovery is fine. Sheehan, probably. I'd be a bit wary of Sheehan being a Barry Bannon, to be honest, where in a faster league, he might get caught out a bit. I don't know. He's younger though, isn't he? He's got more athleticism about him. But Sheehan, Thomason with his rate of his improvement, yeah. Charles, I would say Collins based on what I've seen at Bristol Rovers. Not, maybe Mendes Gomez as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say, but
it's tough to say. Yeah, it's all about this. Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe Baxter, maybe Charles because he's been linked away. But I don't think we lose anyone easily without getting a decent sum of money for him. And I think most of our better players are a bit on the older side. And if you look traditionally, you don't get big offers for 27, 28 years. It's sort of 20, 25 down, really. So maybe Thomason, but I don't think he would want to leave. In terms of other young players, we've got Toll, Johnston. I think they'd be okay. Maybe Charles if a big offer comes in, but maybe Santos as well if a big offer comes in, but it'd have to be big.
I think there's only a couple certainties that I can think of, and that would be Alexa's just on one. I think Santos, would be a definite. I can't see. It's a short career football, and he's like we said, he's not young anymore, and I can't see him sticking around. Should an offer come in, I think that's probably one of the only certain ones. Baxter, I think it would be. It's a possibility, but I can't see him coming for a season and then leaving again. I think that'd just be a bit. I don't know. Anyone else that you'd add to that list? You two?
No. I'm just going to just dip into the comments. And I mean, end of the day, it's a podcast. We're all fans. We all pay our money, and we're all entitled to our opinion. But I'm flabbergasted by the amount of people that are slating Santos as a centre half. Because correct me if I'm wrong. Prior to him coming back from injury, this last game against Blackpool and obviously last night, everyone was saying how much we're missing him.
Yeah.
Then we lose 2 games, he gets sent off, and everyone seems to think he's a load of crap. Just very surprising because for me he's so good, so dominant.
Yeah.
Distribution's fantastic. He reads the game very well. He's so big. He's big and strong and quick as well. I don't see why and how you get better than that for where we are currently as a football club. For a centre half. But I mean,
it happens quite a lot when obviously we're fans. We watch them every week, and it's probably why I didn't pick Sheen for man of the match because he probably was man of the match. But I'm just used to him being that good all the time. But you just kind of get used to how good someone is, and you level how good you think they've been that day compared to their average, which isn't really fair because Santos's average is like an 8 out of 10. And whenever I bring my mates to the match that don't support Bolton or don't watch us all the time, or whenever we're on TV and there's a neutral watching, they go, Jesus, how good is Santos? Like, he's so obviously our best player. Like, I think we're just used to how good he is, and then the odd bad game he has, we go, oh yeah, he's not been great today. But we ignore the 6, 7, 8 games before that where he's been 8, 9 out of 10. I don't think you get better than him in League One.
No.
There's very few contenders that come close to him in League One. I think Ronnie Edwards at Peterborough is probably one that stands out for me, but there aren't many, I don't think, that are at that level.
Cashion's good at Derby, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday, it's a big old game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very big indeed. 3 points is an absolute
Like I
must
said,
for the Wanderers.
please, and I mean, the chat has been off the chart tonight. So thank you very much for everybody who's been getting involved and having your opinions. It's all good stuff, and it's all greatly appreciated. Also, the overall live viewers across all the platforms has been 50, nearly 60 live people watching tonight. If you are watching this and you're going on Saturday, please do everything you can to get behind them, because it's really important that we do, because they're going to need us on Saturday, because it's been a rough couple of games for them, and we are critical to us getting a result on Saturday. So don't sit on your hands, don't keep your gobs shut, please don't boo. Whatever you do, if it's 0-0 at half time or whatever, or even if we're losing, just get behind them at all costs.
Just don't come.
Well, people are entitled to it, Andy, but just try not to, because it just doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, look, we were all not happy with the performances. None of us have been happy with the way that things have gone in the last 2 games. You can look back further than that. You know, the Charlton game wasn't a great game. We didn't play particularly well. None of us are happy with losing games of football, but we're... it'd be no fun if we sat here and just told you all how rubbish it was, would it?
I don't know. I enjoyed last week.
I don't think we'd have many people tuning in.
No, I know we do a podcast, Ben, and then obviously we're here to discuss Bolton. But Jim made a very good point early on, and I think he's trying to sum tonight's show up in a nutshell by saying this: pointless chat, because we're going up anyway.
That's the spirit.
So, thanks for that, Jim.
And on that bombshell, we will end this evening's episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. We hugely appreciate it. Take care, and until the next one, we will see you all very, very soon.
Cheers, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.